All right, what's going on? You listen to King Cam Ujumbe Podcast and Ujumbe means message. And we are here one more time. This is another wonderful live session. I hope all is well with you. And I hope that you guys have enjoyed your weekend. I hope you were safe and I hope you did things that you set your mind to do. And before we go further, before we do it, let me go and let you know where we at. The role of women. Yep. The role of women, queens, priestesses, and divine mothers. Yep. That's what we're about to get into today. What's going on? Greet everybody as you come in, hit the like button. What's going on, Brother Ferguson? I hope your weekend is going well. He says, hello, everyone. What's going on, everybody? The role of women, priestesses, and divine mothers. I see what's going on, Isu. What's going on? Just in time. Yeah, just in time. And shout out to the fam in because I've been looking at my information, looking at my analytics. Shout out to the fam in China, Germany, and Canada. These guys are showing up and enjoying the information. So much love to the fam out there. Yeah, we're about to get into it. I'm just really I'm always excited about stuff, but yeah, this is no different, right? So welcome back. You listen to King Cam Ujumbe Podcast, Ujumbe means message, and you're now inside the Sacred Ark. Now, this is our series, the Sacred Ark, Ethiopia, Kush, and Kemet. Before we say anything about queens and priestesses, let us basically just relax, sit back, get you something to write on, something to write with. And remember, the Nile is more than a river, it is a rhythm. Okay, it is a heartbeat. It gave birth to several of our great organizations, of our great countries, and our great nations. So right now, we're going to focus on the work of, say, the ancestors like Makeda, for example, Makeda, Ethiopia, the Kandake of Kush, and the priestesses of Kemet. And so we're going to get into it. We're going to I kind of pushed it back long enough. It's about time to talk about some of these divine mothers. Okay, so now here it is. Here's the questions. What roles did African queens play in shaping the political and spiritual landscape of Ethiopia, Kush, and Kemet? And how did priestesses and spiritual women function as guardians of cosmic order and sacred science? Okay. Number 3, in what ways did the feminine body, womb rites, and lunar codes serve as blueprints for African temple systems, right? And why was feminine divinity suppressed? And number 5, how did it survive through esoteric lineages and oral tradition? Yeah, we're going to talk about the role of women, queens, priestesses, and divine mothers. And these are the questions we're going to get into. These are the questions we're going to answer. Don't forget to hit the like button and greet everybody as you come in. Now, here's our topics. Here's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, the reason why I told y'all to get something to write on, something to write with. We're going to talk about queens of fire and foundation, the unknown queens of Nubia. We talked about some queens of Nubia that almost everybody knows, but in my research, I found some others. Okay, priestesses, oracles, and sacred orders, and my top priestess of the Nile Valley, not just in Kemet, because remember the Nile Valley is 4,100 miles, not right, and it's not just Egypt. Okay, we're gonna talk about the top priestesses of the Nile Valley, divine feminine forces, and yes, I'm checking roll for my newly enrolled Ujumbe fam and some of the alumni and people who add value to the conversation. And I got a Q&A. Okay, so if you have any questions or concerns, just hold on to them. All right. Now let's go. Now, queens of fire and foundation. Let's begin with queens. These are not figureheads. These are not consorts or the side chick of the king. Queens, they held power. They held absolute power, as we learned in our journey discussing Queen Sobekneferu, the goddess of the 7 stars. These queens had their own thing going. Okay, and I'm glad that we discovered ancient Nubia and ancient Meroe, where we find that these queens stood on their own too, had their own military, and had their own process of making leaders. Okay, so queens of fire and foundation. Here it is. Before we get to it, we gotta give it, we gotta bow. We gotta give a nod, okay, to Empress Menen Asfaw. Okay, I may be mispronouncing it. This is the mother of the new era. This is the wife of Emperor Haile Selassie I. Empress Menen Asfaw represents the continuation of divine queenship into the modern era. Okay, I felt it was necessary to bring her into the conversation, because sometimes when we deal with the ancient queens, we neglect some of the modern. Okay, so the Queen Empress Menen Asfaw, her legacy is one of grace, power, and deep faith. Because remember, the Ethiopian country, the Ethiopia as a nation, are part of the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church. And so she founded churches, supported education for girls, and carried herself with royal humility and spiritual conviction. Okay, I had to start out. I had to kick off with an honorable mention: the wife and our beloved Queen Mother, Queen Menen Asfaw. I had to do that. I think it was only right. It was only right. Okay, and so, and remember, she is the bridge builder. Okay, she bridged the gap between the ancient world, in a sense, and the modern world. All right. I don't think she get her just due. I really don't think so. Okay, but let's get it. Let's go. Now, here we go. Queen of Sheba, Queen Makeda, Queen of Sheba. All right. So, of course, she's the legendary Queen of Sheba. She's honored across Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Yemen. Her name appears in the Kemet and the Gast. Okay. And countless oral tradition. She was a monarch in her own right, and she was a matrilineal force of law and spiritual perception. Her visit to King Solomon in Jerusalem was a diplomatic and deeply and very prophetic, right? She carried riddles and symbols to test Solomon's wisdom. In return, she received sacred teachings. That is the story. Okay. Remember, Queen Makeda had her own empire. Okay. She had her own empire. All right. So child born of her union, of their union between her and Solomon, was Menelik the First. Menelik the First established the Solomonic dynasty, fusing Judaic spiritual law with African cosmology through Queen Makeda. Ethiopia claimed to have the Ark of the Covenant, which we discussed already, which was a pretty interesting discussion, because somebody got upset because them Nice Templar was being nosy and Ethiopia kicked them out. You know what I'm saying? I said what I said. You know, I don't care. What's going on? Okay. All right. Greetings, everybody. Greetings, Miss Blue. What's going on? And Brother Moore, he threw his hand up already. Now, Brother Moore, I check roll at the end, sir. No, you can't. No, sir. You're on time. But I check roll the end. All right. Yeah. And I got a bonus. Okay, I got a bonus for y'all. I didn't put that in my notes. It's not in my notes, but man, I got a bonus for y'all. All right, let's go. All right, so this is, of course, the sign and seal of the Solomon dynasty and everything. So when I get a chance, not today, I'm going to break this down. Okay, I am going to break this down in the coming weeks. Okay, now here we go. We have Makeda, honorable mention, right? And we have the Queen Mother. And now let's go. We got Makeda, the Kandake of Kush, the queens of Kemet, and a few forgotten queens of Nubia. In my research, I found there was some other queens that need to be mentioned also. See what I'm saying? All right. So the Kandake of Kush, the warrior queens of the South. Okay. Remember, Kemetic culture was an African culture, and their knowledge came from the South. Okay. Check out Dr. Ben. Check out his work, and check out Shemayet to Joke. Check out their work. Now, Amanishakheto. Here we go. Amanishakheto stood against Augustus Caesar of Rome. After losing an eye in battle, she led a counterattack that resulted in a peace treaty favorable to Kush. Normally, when African nations enter into some kind of peace treaty with a European nation, they get the bad end of the deal. Rome had to basically say, we give up. But to save face, to say that we're not defeated, we're gonna throw this peace treaty out there. That's what they did. That's what they did. Okay. And after losing the Iron Battle, she had a counterattack and had a peace treaty. She fought with both blade and sacred power. In my opinion, a lot of our ancient ancestors along the Nile Valley, that's how they fought. It was a physical battle and a spiritual battle, right? And also, there's another queen, Amanishakheto. So we have Amanirhanes, Amanishakheto is known for her richly decorated tomb filled with gold ritual objects and iconography that affirms her divine right. Her inscriptions demonstrate knowledge and melodic script and religious authority, right? All right, let me see what's going. Yeah, okay. What's going on, Grand Madam Tarot? Now, Grand Madam Tarot. Here's the thing. I think I'm gonna have to get in contact with Big Brother Theo B so we can have this conversation. I know y'all. I know we're supposed to be moving on, but check this out. There is a white Black Panther. I got questions. And only Theo B can answer that. I gotta ask the Rock With Me Nation to come back out because yeah, only Theo B can answer that question. Shout out to the Rock With Me Nation. We're gonna try to get Theo B and them back out here and have this conversation and we got to do another verse. So, but man, this is good. This is gonna be good. Hold on. All right, so let's get it now. Amanirhanes of Nubia. Really quick, just double back. Amanirhanes of Nubia, the warrior queen who defied Rome. Amanirhanes was one of the most formidable rulers of the kingdom of Kush, the powerful Nubian civilization that thrived, that is now in Sudan, modern day Sudan. She ruled approximately 40 before Common Era to 10 before Common Era, and was part of the Kandake dynasty, a line of powerful queens who often ruled independently or as co-regents with kings. Whenever we hear about the fellas, we do, but I've been hearing more and more about the queens of Nubia, and they're standing alone. Okay, and they're standing alone and they're doing their thing. Amanirhanes inherited a kingdom with strong military traditions and deep spiritual connection to the Neteru, to the gods. As Kandake, she was expected to not just be a ruler, but also a warrior, strategist, and religious leader. She had to be all the things. Okay, these leaders in the Nile Valley were not just people just to sit on the throne and say, hey, I am a leader. They had to throw hands too, if necessary. They had to rule with equal regularity or something like that, right? So she inherited a kingdom with a strong military, and she was able to throw hands too, right? Now, the war gets wrong really quick. One of the defining moments of Amanirhanes' reign was her conflict with the Roman Empire, as I alluded to before. In 30 before Common Era, following the defeat of Cleopatra D7 and Mark Antony, Egypt fell under Roman control. I told you when Egypt fell, Rome tried to push into Sudan. Refusing to accept Roman rule, Amanirhanes launched an audacious military campaign against Rome. She wasn't playing with them. Okay, invading southern Egypt and capturing key cities like the Aswan and Philae area. Shout out to the Nubians who still live in the Aswan area. Shout out to the fam. Her forces destroyed Roman statues and even defaced the statue of Emperor Augustus, symbolizing Nubian resistance against foreign dominance. You can't just come in here. You just can't come in Africa and expect everything to be cool. There are some people like Amanirhanes and many others that will actually remove your statues or destroy some of your strongholds because you are a foreigner. You are a guest. A couple of centuries before that, you was begging them for information. Now you're trying to throw hands. Now you're trying to subdue. She wasn't playing with them. She wasn't gonna do that. All right. So now this is a image of her. There's two images, one a statue, and one of course by one of the temples in Nubia. Amanishakheto, okay, and the war queen and the builder of Kush. Now I got to check this out. Did you know that there were multiple groups and kingdoms south of Egypt? Like and comment if you want us to discuss the other kingdoms of Sudan. This is about to happen, y'all. I had to reintroduce this question. Did you know that there were multiple groups and kingdoms south of Egypt? That's the reason why King Menes, or the Scorpion King, or the king of the first dynasty, his reign was so important because he united all of these places. Because remember, Kushites was one group, the Nubians was another, okay, and the Napata people. Okay. Yeah. So like and comment if you want to discuss the other kingdoms of Sudan. Just type in Sudan and we'll go from there. Okay. Just like and comment Sudan in the comments for those who listen to the replay. Comment Sudan. Let me see who else is in here. Let me see. Yeah. Grand Manatera, Black Panther is a figment of some writer's imagination. Ugh. See, I already playing. I already serious about it. Yeah. What's going on, Globally Black? What's going on? Greetings. Yeah, okay. So we have one person. We have one that wants me to discuss these various groups in south of Egypt. Look, I've been waiting. I just y'all tell me what y'all want to do. You know, this is summertime. I got a little time with it. All right, let's go. Now, Amanishakheto, ruled the kingdom of Kush during the first century before Common Era, following the traditions of all the other Kandake, the powerful warrior queens of Nubia. While historical records about her early life is scarce because of the flooding in the Aswan area, it's scarce, right? It's evident that she came from royal lineage that value military strength, religious leadership, and architectural achievements or advancements. Amanishakheto likely ascended the throne after the queen Amani Reines continued the legacy of resisting foreign influence. Okay, resisting foreign influence, maintaining Nubian sovereignty, and overseeing vast construction projects that reinforce Kushite culture. Now, according to sources, get this, y'all, in Meroic hieroglyphs, her name Amanishakheto or Minsekhet or Amnisakhet. All right, that's how it's kind of pronounced. I may be butchering it up, but in Meroic cursive, she's referred to Amanishakheto or Kordiki. Okay, Qorkd or Diki. Okay, Kor means Kandake. Okay, she was a Kor and Kandake. So Kore, okay, means ruler. Kandake is queen. So she was ruler and queen. She was Kore and Kandake, ruler and queen. So they were both. All right. There are some queens out there, but they were not rulers, and there were some rulers that weren't able to be titled as king or queen, right? So they made sure that they got those titles. Just very similar to in Kemet when they say they're the king of the north and south, or the Insubiti. Everybody couldn't have that title, right? Same thing. Now I noticed her name, like I said before, as well as the previous queen's name began with the word Amani. I got a question. You guys are very intelligent. You guys been studying everything. Based on, in your opinion, is that a royal title? Is Amani a royal title? Is that a feminine version of the word Amun? Because in Nubia, they did respect and revere Amun. What do you think? Was that a part of the royal title? Okay, just let me know. Now, like her predecessor, Amanishakheto was a warrior queen who defended Nubia's borders against external threats. During her reign, she continued to strengthen Kushite military forces, ensuring that her kingdom remained independent from Rome's growing influence in Africa. Some historical sources suggest that Amanishakheto engaged in battles against neighboring tribes because there was other folk outside of Nubia, be it Somalia or westward, was trying to come in and throw hands too. It wasn't just Rome going into the Nile Valley. There was other tribes and other kingdoms that was coming in Africa. Neighboring tribes and potential invaders maintaining the stability of Nubia's southern and northern frontiers. She's likely utilized war elephants. I'm still tripping off that. War elephants not only had a cavalry and archers, they had elephants, bro. Wrong wasn't ready. And then not to mention Hannibal in what is that in Carthage, they stormed Rome's gates with the war elephants too, right? So Amani Torre, okay, that was really Amani Torre. Real quick, I'm sorry, Amani Torre ruled during the 1st century and co-governed with King Natakamani. Okay, Amani Torre ruled in the 1st century Common Era, who co-ruled with King Natakamani. Together, they launched building campaigns and left temples. And they built pyramids, temples, reservoirs. Amani Torre is depicted as equal with her male counterpart. Okay, just like very similar to Queen Tiye, which we'll get to in a few minutes. She was seated as equal as her husband, Amenhotep III. Okay, and so these women ruled from Meroe, the southern capital of the Kushite kingdom, and carried the legacy of Napata's priest kings into a feminine theocratic rule. So far, if you're enjoying this content, hit the like and subscribe button. And I think there's some people that's talking in the chat. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Let me see. Grandma tells us Hannibal took his elephants to war. It wasn't for play. It wasn't something for decoration like they put them at the zoo or the circus. No, they got them ready. They got them ready. Yeah. So globally, Black said, I think so. They rule equally to men. These are facts. The queens of Kemet. I heard somebody say they don't like the word king or queen. They like the word emperor or empress. I like that too. So they did rule equally to men. Unless there was a situation where they weren't born as such. They weren't born as king or queen. Then that's a different situation, right? So my great grandma. Yeah. All right. So Isu said it's a custom to change the real name into monarch. Yeah. It is custom to add the Neteru's name as far as a title. Yeah. And said they were all still jihadists that were doing attack and trying to spread Islamic rule over the land. But here's the thing, longevity. This is before Islam, bro. This is before Islam. This is centuries. This is eons before that. Okay, see what I'm saying? So this is during a time where there was no such thing. You understand? So when the queens and kings of Nubia were fighting other people in the same similar culture, they were just defending their land and their property. It wasn't just about some kind of religion, because all of them had the same similar religion, which was from the Nile Valley. All right, what's going on? All right, here we go. Let me see. Everybody talking today. All right, so now I got a question before we get to it. I got a question. Now, Storm from X-Men or Suri from Wakanda? Before we go further, we got to get to this. Storm from X-Men or Suri from Wakanda? Motherfuckers say elephants rolling. Yeah, I don't think they use camels for this one. I don't think so. Yeah. Well, it's longevity. Once again, this is before all of this. Remember, this is say 700 before Common Era, for maybe up to the year 50, AD. There were no such organizations. They weren't there. See what I'm saying? They didn't exist. The more said, the heck with the horses, they rode elephants. You know what I'm saying? Hey, get that a little bit faster, and then they're gonna run into that castle like a battering ram. Yeah. You see how the elephants are stomping us? Yep. They're not playing with them. The elephants, don't forget. Yeah. Let me see what's going on. Let me see before we move on. It said Suri all day. Everybody saying Suri. I need to yeah, globally black. Shout out to fam. Says I need to watch both movies first. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, before you can weigh in on such an opinion like this, is very, very important conversation. You know what I'm saying? You need to you need to get in on this. And don't ask me what I think. Don't ask me. Don't ask me. Yeah. According to co-pilot Amani invokes deity. I think so. I think so. I think that the title Amani was an invoking an ancestor Netu, just like Sobekneferu. Same thing. So some of the it's half and half. I think some people are saying Suri, some people are saying Storm. Uh-oh. Sister Haynes says Suri all day. Blue, Storm, Brother Ferguson, Storm, 10 toes down, all his feet on it. Oh, see, that's not fair. That's not fair. I'm trying to be biased. Then what you say? I ain't what I say, is what they say. You don't know. Don't do that. Don't do that. But if I had the choice, I'll tell y'all later. There you go. Continue. Let's go. Now, like I said, we're going to try to bring out Theo B, the host of I Ain't Saying, I'm Just Saying, because I have a few questions. I have a few questions or concerns about this Uzungu Black Panther. Okay. Uzungu is Swahili for white. Okay. And so instead of us getting a Black Panther, you decide to diversify that. And I got questions. Okay, so I'm gonna try to bring Rock With Me Nation out, and he gonna talk to us and all the things. So this right before my birthday week, you know what I'm saying? So my birthday is coming up. Shout out to all the cancers around the world and everything. We finna get down with the get down. So yeah, I'm gonna try to bring out the OB, and let's get it. Now, Queen Tiye, the matriarch of Maat. Tiye, she's not just the wife of she wasn't just the wife of Amenhotep the third. She sat in the royal court as an equal. I told you I was going to talk about her in a second. Here she is. Her name appears in diplomatic letters for rulers. She wore the vulture crown, the symbol of Nabet, the guardian of the south. Her son, which was still out of pocket. I don't care what's going on, bro. Her son Akhenaten was out of pocket. Let's argue. Okay, her son Akhenaten changed the religion of Egypt. Went left her, bro. Let me get off this. Her son left the house and built another house somewhere else. Not only that, you changed you changed churches and everything. And like Brother Mo said, shout out to Brother Mo, because I haven't seen Brother Mo yet. Yeah, Nefertiti done got that boy nose wide open. Yeah, man. the Black Panther. See, I was Grand Manachero. See, we was kind of thinking alike. I was trying not to say that. You know what I'm saying? The Zungu Black Panther, maybe the DEI Black Panther. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, yeah, that would be an interesting take. Was he a traitor? Okay, was he a traitor? Because they already had they already had the Kemetic science. They already had the information. They knew about the hidden one. They had some form of monotheistic idea already called the Amun or the hidden one. Why did you do all that? And the foreigners at the gate, we ain't got time for company, right? Well, I said what I said. Professor Cam, yeah. Nefertiti had that boy nose open. Understand me? Done neglected everything. It's Koran Badal, shout out. He says, "Hey, hi King Cam. I think the name Cam is getting a lot of attention." He said, "I'm just glad you're on the positive side. Most are. Yeah, I got to be positive. I got to enjoy. I got to make this fun. Welcome. I'm glad you guys are here. We're gonna continue on. All right. And don't forget, I got a bonus and a Q&A. So let's get it. So Queen Tiye, the grandmother of King Tut. I'm saying if this is King Tut's granny, you telling me King Tut is light skinned? Yeah. Brother Moses, he's like, put your mom on the phone. Well, hey, let's go. All right, so here we go. All right, Queen Tiye, wife of Amenhotep III, the mother of the revolutionary pharaoh Akhenaten, which is still debatable. Some people call him a traitor. Some people say he was just straight up he was checking for Nefertiti too much. He was one of the most politically astute and powerful queens of ancient Egypt. As we can see, she is seated alongside Amenhotep III. Very just like that. Okay, representing they were equal, they were one and the same. Okay, and I think just the tragedy of the 18th dynasty was it kind of kicked off when he transitioned. Okay, he was basically, before there was a Ramses the Great, there was an Amenhotep the Great, and I think Amenhotep III was that guy. Okay, so Tiye played a crucial role in maintaining stability during her husband's reign, which was characterized by wealth, opulence, and extensive construction projects. She was instrumental in the construction projects and religious developments, and particularly in the promotion of the sun god Aten. She did acquiesce and kind of nod and kind of support her son. I think she felt that, okay, her son was kind of too far gone in a sense, so she's just gonna support it, right? Now, her early life. Queen Tiye was born in 1398 before becoming heir to a prominent noble family. Unlike many Egyptian queens, she was not of royal blood in a sense. She was from nobility, but she was not royalty in a sense, right? Her father, Yuya, was a high-ranking official and priest, while her mother, Tuya, was an influential noblewoman with ties to the royal court. Despite her non-royal lineage, Tiye intelligence and strong personality made her ideal match for Pharaoh Amenhotep the third. Wait a minute. So she did not come from a royal background. Okay. Yes. Side by side. That is correct. They were them, right? Yeah. And shout out to Kwan, but I said Islam came to Africa 1400 years ago. These are facts. The question was earlier was what a statement was made that the people were in Sudan, in ancient Nubia, were fighting the Roman Catholic Church and Islamic people. In ancient Nubia, that the concept didn't exist as of yet. All right, let's continue. Now, her marriage to Amenhotep III was not just political, but a true partnership. I really think she loved him. I really do. Okay, we forget these people, our ancestors. They were people and they had feelings. So I really believe that she loved this man. She became his great warrior wife, a title denoting the highest ranking queen. Unlike many other queens before her, Tiye was depicted alongside, there it is, alongside the pharaoh as an equal, a clear indication of her influence, a clear indication of her power. Okay. Now, her rise to power, Tiye's intelligence and political acumen quickly became evident. She was deeply involved in state affairs, corresponding with foreign letters and from foreign rulers, advising the king and playing a key role in diplomatic relations. She was a politician and a diplomat. Okay, when the war was happening, when wars was going on in that area, she sent letters out. Letters from the letters, a collection of diplomatic correspondence revealed that rulers from Babylon, Mitanni, and the Hittite Empire addressed her directly and not the king. That is power. They didn't even send a letter to the king, bro. They wrote to her. They wrote to her. So that's something unheard of during that time, right? So her husband, Amenhotep III, relied heavily on her advice in foreign policy, religious matters, and administration. Some historians suggest that Tiye effectively co-ruled Egypt. I think so. I think so, especially in the latter years of Amenhotep III's reign when he was ill. She talked about we talked about this in previous videos, pharaohs in the shadows. We talked about that. And I think Queen Tiye was a pharaoh in the shadows, in my opinion. I think Queen Tiye was actually the Insubiti also. Okay. What do you think? Comment below. Let me know. What do you think? Do you think Queen Tiye was the pharaoh in the shadows? Okay. Now, this is one of her temples in Nubia. Okay. No, I'm not going to break this down. I'm not going to do it. I resist the urge because I'm trying to get this bonus content to you. I'm trying my best to not break this temple down, but maybe later. But not today, right? All right. She was the great matriarch of Maat. She was that person. I think she was a very special individual in a very special time in Kemet. Yeah. She Globally Black said Queen Tiye must have had a direct line to God himself. Interesting. Yeah. And Sister Haynes says she was intelligent and wise, just like a male. Okay. Yeah. And Karam Badal is saying Suri. And the question is, who's my choice between Storm and Suri? I'll tell y'all that later. All right, let's go. Now we have our beloved queen or Empress Sobekneferu. Man, if you missed that series last spring, it was on. Okay. Still can get the book though. The first female pharaoh, Sobekneferu, the goddess of the seven stars. Man, that was a journey. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, Sobekneferu had to get an honorable mention. She was the queen to me. You know what I'm saying? She inspired Hatshepsut. Okay. She came through in the 12th dynasty, the first woman to rule Kemet with full pharaonic titles and rights. She wore the crown, the double crown. She performed temple rites herself because she was being trained as a priestess. Okay. Because remember, she had an older sister. Okay. And I think her father was trying to develop her as the Insubiti and not Queen Sobekneferu. It just so happened she became that, right? So her reign was too dangerous for the patriarchy to continue. So yeah, her reign was short. It was like 3.5 years, but it was impactful. It was powerful. Yeah. She said yes. Back then, there was no distinction as in Western patriarchy between the woman and I think it's merit based. It was merit based. It was. Okay, it was merit based. Now you have to, as I said many times before on this podcast, you may be born king, but you have to be made king or queen. You still have to undergo that process. You still had to learn. You still had to study with the Kari Heb and go through the initiations and the sacred rites and for the people in Kemet, the Heb said festivals, all these things. You have to show and prove, right? Yeah. Shout out to Being Sky Unity fam. Eyes, what is happening there? Yeah, there is a world of initiates. Yeah, we all learn together. We're all learning together. Let's go. So we have Queen Sobekneferu. Now, here we go. The forgotten queens, the forgotten and shadow queens of Nubia. Now, we mentioned a few of the queens that were popular. Everybody know Amani Reynes and many others, but there are a few that I don't hear a lot about, right? And so I figure, okay, let me share with the fam what I found out, right? Let's go. But before we get to it, though, I got a review. Now, according to the video, the rise and fall, knights, codes, and the Ethiopian stronghold, which military order is from the Nile Valley. Here's the thing. It was my bad. I should have put was not from the Nile Valley. Okay, if the military order was not from the Nile Valley, if I put not from the Nile Valley, it would have been the Templars. Okay, but if you selected the Deptaras, the Zemini order, the order of Tekle Hamanot, you are correct, and you got an A. You got the A for the day. You are correct. You got an A for the day. That was my fault. That was teacher error. Okay, so everybody got a 100. But it ain't gonna happen too many times. You know what I'm saying? Ain't happening too many times. Oh no, you ain't catching me slipping again. But yes, if you answered the Deptaras, the Zemini order, and the order of the Tekle Hamanut, you got it correct, and you all as a class, I guess, as a class, y'all got a 100. You see what I'm saying? There we go. All right, you're very welcome. Yeah. So let's go. So here we go. The forgotten queen, the forgotten and shadow queens of Nubia. Now we have, if you have a pen and paper, you write this down. Queen Nariko, okay. Queen Shanadakiti, oh goodness, I'm butchering the name. Shanakadiki, and Queen Amani Hatashan. There is the title again, Amani, right? And Queen Meli Korabar. Okay, and we know the term Kor means ruler, so she put that in there. Mali Korabar. So these are some of the forgotten queens of Nubia that we hardly discuss. We hardly discuss, but we're gonna do that today. Yes, Brother Moore. Yes, it is a curve reset. You're very welcome. Okay, and I'm still checking roll at the end, so you can't skip class. Man, yeah, it's a massive reset. How many people we got? So far we have over 1,100 subscribers, so I got to give A to almost everybody. Goodness. Oh man, yeah, I ain't doing that no more. All right, so Queen Nariko, she's possibly ruled the first independent as the first independent queen after the fall of the Napata line. Okay, her burial is I think one of the families mentioned that there was a lot of pyramids in Sudan, and her burial is Pyramid Beg in 11 BEG in 11 at Meroe. It signals she reigned with full royal autonomy. She's buried out there. She had full power. Okay, and this was during the early Meroitic period. Okay, that's Queen Nariko. Now, so wait a minute. Who are the people of Napata? Yeah, we got some new information coming up. That I mentioned about these various groups in the Nile Valley in Sudan, and the people of Napata has been coming up in our conversation quite a few times. So new information is coming out with that. We're gonna have to go and get down with that. We have to go and get down with that and hit the like button, and we're gonna continue. Let's go. So So the next queen, help me with this one. Shanak Dakati, she reigned around the 2nd century before Common Era. This is like 200 BC, right? By this time, Egypt as an empire is basically gone, right? Rome is already there, so we had to cast our eyes south towards Nubia, right? And so she's among the earliest rulers of the to use Meroic script. Okay, and it is depicted wielding she's wielding full royal regalia. Her inscriptions name her as sovereign, not consort. Okay, again, a lot of these queens in the Nile Valley weren't the king's side chick or somebody else. They were actually rulers themselves, right? And so this is what Meroic script looked like. Okay. And on one hand, it's very similar to hieratic or demotic text. Okay. Okay, and just FYI, demotic and hieratic text in Kemet with precursor to what you will see now is modern day Arabic. Okay, and also this is the meta nature style of the Meroic script also. And somebody made a humble request. Can you break down some Meroic script? We are working on that. I'm immersing myself in studying Ethiopia and Sudan a little bit more, which include us breaking down the Meroic script. I'm gonna do what I can, right? And so stay tuned for that because I want us all to learn something new. And we hear a lot of people breaking down the meta nature and many things like that, but the Meroic script, challenge accepted. And of course, it's a very familiar face that we use a lot. This sister, she was from Sudan. Okay, she was from Sudan. I still don't know her name though. Still don't know her name. Okay. Now, next queen is Queen Amani Kataka San or I'm sorry, Amani Karashan. She is referenced in both archaeological and inscriptional materials. Her reign is likely aligned with temple rites tied to lunar and solar cycles, suggesting that she was a high initiate in cosmic rituals. The thing is, remember the queens and the Kandakes of Sudan, they were not only physical rulers of the physical world, they had to rule the spiritual world. It's not just in Kemet. This was a thing. It wasn't just in Kemet and in the Grand Lodge of Waset. It was actually a Nile Valley thing, right? So that's Queen Amani Karashan, all right? And so this is a picture here, her at the offering table. Now, the figure in front of her, if you look close, it looks like Anubis. Okay, so this lets me know that Anubis, Amun, Heru, and many other figures were they was respected and revered in the South also. Okay, this is found. Shout out to the Michael C. Carlos Museum in Atlanta. This picture is made from worldhistorypics.com. But yeah, you see her at the offering table. But let's look closer. Now you see her on the left right here. And you see this hat that she has, this little crown here. I believe Aset or Isis had a similar crown on her head. Okay, meaning that the throne and rulership came through, of course, the women. All right, and look like she has they both are holding look like some kind of cup, and they're pouring libations. Okay, and what do you think they're pouring libations to? They're pouring libations to the answers, I think. All right, and let me see here. Theo B has entered the chat. Check this out, Theo B. Here's the thing. Before we continue, we're going to try to get you and the Rock With Me Nation back on because I have some questions. Okay, let me remove this real quick. Everybody's showing up today. I got some questions. See what I'm saying? We found out. Now it's not new to y'all because y'all been in this thing. There is a special guest that they put that they're trying to pose as the Black Panther, and he is white. So I have some questions, not today. I'm gonna try to get you on, and we're gonna have another Rock With Me Nation discussion with Theo B and all the fam, because this is gonna be interesting. Because I want to hear what you got to say. I want to hear what you got to say, man. This is gonna be good. Yeah. You heard it. Yeah, what had happened was instead of us getting another Black Panther or T'Challa, okay, newsflash, they're gonna bring in a white boy. I said it. Yeah. Oh, he agreed. Okay, I'm we're gonna have to set a time. We got to go and get that. This is gonna be fun. And we gotta do another versus battle too. We gotta do that. Oh man, yeah. So yeah, only true role. I guess you could say that, but do they rule and roll? Is their role with equality and regularity? That's the thing. See, next time on Dragon Ball Z, is it the fall of the Black Panthers? in the next episode. Oh man. Oh, this is gonna be good. Yeah, we're gonna be laughing. This is yeah, I can't wait for this. This is gonna be good. We're gonna be laughing, is all I can say. Yeah, this is gonna be good. And then people are talking in the chat. I love this. This is all this information, and we have folks trying to blind us to it. Yep, make us blind to it. Yep. But guess what? This is why we exist. This is the reason why my podcast exists. All right. Yes, I am a history teacher by trade, but I decided to bring the curriculum or my thoughts to a broader audience, to the people. Okay, the way I teach here is very similar to how I teach my high schoolers. Okay, but so we got to do it. We got to find a way to do it. All right, let's continue. Let me see here. All right, so here we go. Now, so if you look at this, it looks like they're pouring libations here. Okay, and of course, pouring libations is the African custom. It is a ancient African custom, right? And so that's very important, right? And I think she is standing in front of Anubis. So I don't know what she was about to get into. I don't know. And that's interesting. And the thing is, I don't see that. Have you ever seen somebody in the Nile Valley? You see Anubis like next to the scales of Maat and all these things. But have you ever saw them standing in front or beside him, or in front of him in this case, pouring libation? And they're doing it together. So what do she got going on? Man, now I'm interested. I need to find this out. Right? Yeah. So here we go. Queen. The next queen here is Malikobar. And remember, Kor, Qur, is a Nubian term for ruler, right? Queen Mele Korobar is a figure remembered in the Christian era of Nubia. This is pretty interesting because remember, before Islam and before and right after the Kemetic culture in Nile Valley culture, there was a Christian presence, but it was similar to the Coptic and the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. Okay, this Christian era Nubia, while historical details remain scarce, she may represent the last echoes of matrilineal authority. Okay, she's in so many words, she was like the last of her line or the last of her group. Her name is spoken in context of Nubian resilience and the preservation of feminine power through religious transmission. Yeah. Let me see the famous chat. Sister Scott says life and rituals. Yeah, it's a good point. Luckily, kiddos, globally black, and my parents had to teach our history at home. That's what it may have to get back to. And my love for history started with family history. Okay, so that's where it all begins, right? So yeah, I agree. Now, so royalty seen is not always saying gold or in stone. Sometimes it's carved in silence. Okay, so the black woman as a ruler, it wasn't rare. Okay, it was foundational and fundamental. Okay, so we have, just remember, we have Queen Naikor, okay, Nahi Roko, okay, and Queen Shanak Dakiti, and Queen Amani Katashan, and Queen Melikor Korobar. All right, these were the forgotten queens of Nubia. I may go a little bit further in each one of them as time go on, but time don't permit today because I got some more stuff, right? So we got Queens of Fire. We talked about that. Queens, unknown queens of Nubia. Now we're about to get into some esoteric and all the fun stuff, right? Priestesses, oracles, and sacred orders. Yep. And we got to deal with the top priestesses of the Nile Valley, divine feminine forces, and I'm checking roll. And I think we got a bonus. Yeah, I didn't put that on here. I decided to throw that bonus in on today. Okay. So then we got a Q&A, even though the people are talking in here. So let's get it. So we got a few things to deal with. So In Egypt, in ancient Ethiopia, Kush, and Kemet, there were women whose voices opened the mouths of the Neteru, whose chants guided the sun, whose hands shaped reality through ritual. I think Sister Scott mentioned life is ritual, right? These were not assistants to power; they were power. Okay, so we're not going to get into their sacred spaces, right? Not the throne room of kings, but say the hidden chambers of the divine women in ancient Ethiopia, Kush, and Kemet. The cosmos was their voices, right? And they were the portals. They carried the vibrations of the cosmos and in their DNA and in the breath that they breathe, right? So this is part. This is a lesson that we all need to learn. We're going to learn about the esoteric orders of African womanhood today. So they stood beside the pharaohs. They summoned the Neteru. They were advocates for the ancestors. They represented the ancestors, and some of them were the avatars for the Neteru. Right, from Ethiopia's mothers to the Nubian lunar priestess and sacred orders of Kemet. These women were temple architects, soul midwives, and divine scientists. It is all a science, right? Even though the Europeans would label it as superstition and all that, this whole thing, this is a science. Okay, let me see. It's a question we learned. It said we learned our family history via our grandparents and great grandparents. Is that still a thing in our culture? All right, Brother Theo B asked the question: is that a thing? Learning about your family history, is that a thing? It's still a thing in our culture. It's in mine. Okay, I had to, I sit my children down and my family down. And I just start talking. I just start telling them who begat who, right? Yeah, but it do start at home, y'all. It do start at home. That's a good question. It do start at home. The love for Black history starts at home. Okay, and then by doing that, and the thing is, and I'm gonna tell you this: the reason why some people don't want to have that discussion is because it may shed a negative light on their family. Bro, that's part of history. We got to tell it all, the good and bad. Yeah, we can talk about the highlights and graduating head of the class and all things, but there's other lessons that we got to learn, right? Yeah, I ain't said oral tradition will always be in our culture. Yeah, I agree. All right, here we go. Now we have the God's wife Amun. That is a title. Okay, that's the supreme matriarch, right? This title was popular between the 18th and the 26th dynasties. Spiritual role was supreme natural matriarch of Waset. I say Thebes, for instructional purposes, but it's Waset. Okay, carried authority that revealed the pharaohs, and so the God's wife Amun, that was popular from the 18th dynasty, where King Tut, Amenhotep, Queen Tiye was alive all the way up towards the end. Okay, and God's wife of Amun, they perform sacred awakening rites of Amun daily, using of the breathwork of Hu, divine word, the Heka. Now, divine word, they may interchange that. They may say something like, they may call it Heka or magic. Okay, and each sacred time cycles, and they have sacred time cycles like the Jet, a Nehet. Okay, and there's titles in when you read the Meta Nature, they may say Amun. They call it Hamet Nature in Amun. Okay, divine wife of Amun. Hamet Nature in Amun. Okay. Now, here's one person, Amanishakheto, the daughter of King Kashta of Kush, the sister to King Pai. Okay, this is during the Kushite era, a Kushite queen priestess who anchored the ritual unity between Napata and Thebes. Her role embodied divine femininity as cosmic order, Maat, basically Maat in motion, Nubian royal priestess from the 25th dynasty. Her legacy, her legacy symbolizes the sacred bridge between Napata and Thebes. So I'm gonna have to really talk about Napata, because we have Kush on one side, we have Nubia, and now we have Napata. but we'll go more into more detail about her a little bit later. Now, the priestess of Hathor. So we have the priestess of Amun, God's wife Amun, right? Now we have the priestesses of Hathor. Okay, sound, star, and afterlife right. So wielders of, say, fire, protectors of the divine order. They had temple centers everywhere. Okay, in Denera, Edifu, Serebit El Kadim, or Sinai. Their roles, priests of Hathor, they were custodians of music, sexuality, healing, and afterlife rites. They oversaw dream temples and lunar rituals, and they were also the midwives of rebirth. That's what they brought. They were the initiates, and they brought in somebody from the realm of the ancestors to return to the physical plane. Interesting. Next priestess trained male warriors in ritual purity, taught pre-battle invocations, and I've been told some of the Nubian kings, before they went into battle, their soldiers were dipped in the Nile Valley to be spiritually purified before they go into battle. I heard that. So we had Net's priests here, Sekhmet's priestess, the healers and solar exorcists, use fever chants, plant knowledge, and solar timing. Now, I got a question. Here we go. So this is we've been mentioning Net for like the last couple of months, right? If you want me to add bonus content on Net, like and type bonus. I think I got some time today. I got some time. Like and comment bonus. We're going to touch on a little bit Net, the primordial Neteru. We may deal with that today. All right, let's go. So some of their tools, some of the things that they use, they in their initiatic orders to access the hidden spiritual codes and esoteric warfare, they use tools. Okay, the sistrum, like tambourines, they created vibrations to cleanse the temple space. They use sistrums to chant, and they use sacred geometry to open the mouth of the divine statues, right? And so the sacred dance and star cycles, they align with the seer Subdat and Venus. Okay, Subdat is the seers of Dal Star. We broke that down a few months ago. They function as the mistress of the West, escorting the souls through the Duat and resurrection. We talked about the Book of Gates about a week or so ago, and they oversaw dream incubations, soul transitions, and lunar rituals. They were connected. The priestesses of Hathor were connected to Venus and Subdat cycles. Okay, so there was one group that was focused on lunar cycles. There's another group that was focused on the solar cycles. But then the older rites, so the older priesthoods, were straight up star cycles. That's what they focused on. And Sirius was one of them. Shout out to the fam in Ethiopia. I learned that every September, that's their Ethiopian New Year. Why? Because Sirius rises in the night sky in September. Wait a minute. I think the fam is asking for a bonus. Okay. All right. Let me see what I can do. We're gonna get this bonus today. This is gonna be fun. All right. So will we have another? I need a couple more people to type in bonus before we do it. We got 1, 2, 3. I need 5 more. Let's go. Bonus content. Do y'all want the bonus content? Type in bonus. All right, let's go. All right, so remember Neferu Ptah, which is Sobekneferu's sister, older sister, and the scene with the Mighty Temple. We brought this down about a month or so ago. The sistrum was an instrument sacred to Hathor or Hathor. Okay, even now, you see this instrument in the Ethiopian Orthodox Tower Hindu Church. You still see it now. They're still using it. Okay, still using it. Now, so in this case, when she was in the Mighty Temple, was she seeking aid to bear a child? The priestess, apparent associated with Hathor, would have been essential in the lead up to her becoming a royal wife, because Hathor had to co-sign the queenship, right? Be it royal wife or independent. As an incarnation of the Neteru, or the goddess, she would have been expected to give birth to the living representation of Horus. So she's at the temple asking a blessing for this childbirth, right? So she's using the sisterum. Okay. Now the Shemayet. The Shemayet. This is another priestess. So we have the priestess of Amun, priestess of Hathor, and the Shemayet. Uh, well, what's going on, Sister Linda? All right. All right. Now, if Sister Linda is saying bonus, we may have to make this happen, y'all. Okay. All right. All right. Well, yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it. So the people have spoken. We're gonna make this. We're gonna make this. We're gonna get this bonus content. Just a snippet. Okay. All right. We're gonna give you something. We're gonna talk about the primordial Neteru net towards the end. So stay tuned. Let's go. All right. So spiritual singers, Shemayet. And remember, when you see the T at the end of a Kemetic term, it was feminine. Shemayet. Okay, spiritual singers and breath workers who open dimensional portals through tone and rhythm. It is all rhythm. It is all energy and power, right? Especially, they was especially active in the Osirian rites, the lunar festivals, and the heart weighing ceremonies. You see images and pictures of them everywhere in temple halls, in the meta nature, okay, and many other places, right? So the Shemayet was sacred singers who intoned God names. So they had Neteru names, opening energy gates. Well, not in they didn't have them themselves. Why? Because I'm sorry, I stand corrected. Because the Insubiti only there was the ones that had the names of the Neteru. They invoked or they spoke those names, right? And so they worked closely with the lunar calendar and Osirian's festivals. They function like sound shamans attuned to the power and breath of harmonic law. Music is important when it comes down to gaining knowledge and receiving knowledge. Music is a very important important aspect. Okay, that's the reason why this is how our children learn. They learn through song. They learn through music. Okay, almost everybody still right now, as grown as you are, seeing the ABCs. Why? Because you learned it through song, right? So here we go. Now that we have these priestess orders out the way, the priesthood of Amun, the priestesses of Hathor, right, and the Shemayet. Now we're gonna talk about a few of the priestesses. Okay, here's in my these are some of my top priestesses. Okay, like and subscribe. Hit the like button and subscribe if you like more. If you like to learn more about this. But the top priestesses, because a few months ago I asked, because I did mention the top 5 queens of the Nile Valley, and then I said, okay, do you guys want me to talk about the top priestesses? Here it is. Here it is. Here we go. Now, Merit. Okay, we have Merit. Okay, she was the chantress of Amun. She lived during the Middle Kingdom. Okay, this is the 12th dynasty. This is the 12th dynasty. Remember, these women were priestesses. They were portals of power and gardeners of sacred law. So they were very important in the Nile Valley. Okay, and so Merit, she was alive during the Middle Kingdom. She's found in the tomb of Sobekneferu in the Theban or Waset necropolis. She was a member of the elite priestly family. Merit carried the prestigious role of Shemayet or ritual singer. Her role would have included participation in daily temple harmonics, sunrise invocations, and sacred dramatization. Remember, Sobekneferu had the same title, Merit. Okay, Merit. Okay, so that kind of let us know that Sobekneferu was trained to be a priestess first before she became ruler of Kemet. Spiritual role as chantress, Merit used sacred tonality and rhythm to activate temple spaces. Shout out to Kemetic, the Kemetic nation. There are spaces in the temple, in various temples, that you cannot physically go into. It's there, but you can't physically go into. Why? Because it's levels to this thing, right? So her voice was thought to awaken the Ka of the Neteru, the spirit, setting the spiritual vibration of the temple each morning. Okay, this is Merit. Okay, so she was trained in vocal heka, vocal magic, the use of intoned divine names. She knew the names of the Netzeru. She knew the 42 negative confessions. Her chants was said to reattune the soul of the pharaoh, the king, during key festivals and rites. So they needed her there to make sure that the role of the pharaoh was official. Okay, because that she represented the spiritual aspect of the royal court. She represents the ritual musicality of the feminine in Kemetic cosmology. The idea that vibration is hope and not violence. So this is the first tool of divine power. So that's Merit of the 12th dynasty. Now we have Anahi. Okay, Anai. Okay, Anai is the singer of Amun, priestess of Mut, M-U-T, Mut, in the 20th dynasty. Now, her burial site is in the Theban tomb, and she's buried with the Book of Coming Forth by Day, or the Book of the Dead, possibly served during the reign of Ramses III. Okay, her preserved papyrus scrolls show her deep connection with the lunar rites, ancestral invocation, and afterlife navigation. She was known as a night singer. Now we have Merit, who appeared at dawn, but Anai was a night singer, performing rituals during lunar transitions at night and moonlit vigils. She got at the bottom of the souls of the ancestors into the next realm through the chant and offering. Yeah. So she was the night singer. Interesting. Okay. And so she appears in funerary art, participating in the weighing of the heart ceremony. She may have led rites during the Osirian mysteries, reenactments of the death and resurrection of Osir. Now, remember, she was alive during the time of Ramses III. Now, we know that Ramses III was unalived by he was betrayed. Okay, and his wife was one of her son or his stepson to rule. Okay, and I believe Ramses III was the last real pharaoh of Kemet. Okay, there was some others. The reason why I say that is because dealing with the initiation process of kings and the word that was passed down from king to king and things like that, he was the person. I think he was the last person. Okay, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, so through Anai, we see that the lunar path of priesthood is quieter. So there's the sun side, the day side, and there's the night side of priesthood. Okay, it's a hidden line of women who worked at night, worked in dreams, worked in the mysteries, worked in the shadows. Right, her papyri, her works remain among the most richly illustrated ritual scrolls of the period. So we have Anai. Now we have Karamama Merimut. Karamama Merimut. She was alive during the 22nd dynasty. She was the divine utterance, okay, God's wife of Amun. So she was another priestess who was under the priesthood of Amun. But get this, she was a Libyan Egyptian. She was from the West. Okay, I told you there was several different groups and tribes in and around the Nile Valley. So she was Libyan. Okay, noble woman who rose to the highest female spiritual office during the 22nd dynasty, appeared marked by political fragmentation and religious resurgence. Let me see. Hold on. Question: are the practices of ancestral invocation similar to ancestral veneration? I believe so. The libations, the whole custom, the whole. Now, of course, line for line, word for word, no, it's not the same because a lot of things are lost, right? But when we gather together, we do think about our relatives, people who went on. So there is some sort of invocation or veneration. It may not be extreme, but we still think about it, right? Let me see. Shout out to Library Without Borders. Okay. Greetings. Okay. Yeah. I got you hold that thought. Yeah. Library Without Borders. Shout out to the family Library Without Borders. And let me Mo, you're late. You're late. but you're kind of on time. So because the people already voted, they voted for a bonus. So we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get that. We're gonna get that. Let's go. So now her title, Divine Utterance, signified her as the embodied heart of Amun Ra. Okay. Her daily duties, this was during the day, okay, was ritual washing of the god statue, chanting at sunrise, where Anai was at night, right? This is during the day. And presiding over the key festivals like Apet and the beautiful feast of the valley. Okay. And so she was a part of the priesthood of Amun, and of course we discussed how gangster them boys can be. It was something serious, right? And so her bronze statue, as you can see now in at the Lavore, is one of the most refined ever discovered, covered with inscriptions of sacred text, wearing the vulture, the neckbet, and wajet headdress, and the broad collar. Each is a sign of cosmic authority. Okay, of course you had to know the information before you wore it, right? She represented the living Ka of the goddess Mut, transmitting the power to the living pharaoh, the Insubiti, and the temple system. Though her ritual office, through her ritual office, she balanced theocratic power in Waset during the dynastic uncertainty. This is the 22nd dynasty, holding spiritual order when secular kings faltered. Okay, when that was another reason why Kemet was kind of special, when they had the Insubiti on one side, but then they had the priesthood on the other, kind of balancing it, just in case either one of them fell short. They had another group ready, right? So Priestess Amanishakheto, okay, Amanishakheto, she's the Nubian royal priestess from the 25th dynasty, the daughter of King Kashta of Kush and sister of Pai. Um, she was appointed to Thebes to serve as a religious anchor during the Kushite reunification of Egypt. Kush was trying to reset and reunify Egypt. Brother Mo asked a question: did the kings of Kush see or foresee some things that was happening as far as the fall of Kemet? That's a good question. That is a good question. And as you can see, they try to religiously put things in place to reset those things, to counter the foreign invasion, right? And so she was adopted by the preceding god's wife, Sebekneferu, the first, a common strategy to use to ensure spiritual lineage and political stability. Okay. Now, so hold on. I'm trying to make sure I have everything. So really quick before I move on from her, she served as the ritual bridge between Napata and Thebes, symbolizing the fusion of Kushite spiritual fire and Kemetic temple order. She presided over daily rites at Karnak. Okay, her presence in Waset ensured that Amun's divine will continued to flow in Nubia as well as Kemet. Okay, Nido Chris the first. Okay, Nile Chris the first. All right, so this title is God's wife of Amun. This is the 26th dynasty, the late period. The daughter of Pharaoh Semitic the first, adopted by Shimpunet. I'm sorry, Shipenupet the second herself, the daughter of Pai. Okay, the daughter of Pai. Oh, wow. Okay, thank you. Okay. Wild evening dealing with family. But keep pushing, King. Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna talk, fam, but really appreciate it. Got a super chat. All right, what's going on? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you very much, brother. All right. So thank you. And so her adoption was recorded in the stela with full cosmic oaths and divine lineages and ritual protocol. Let me see. The fam is talking. Invocation is daily, all day, to assist in different tasks throughout the day, upcoming tasks, events for them to walk with you, engulf you with their way of being, whatever whatever they were experts. Okay. Yeah. 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 We need help. We need help. Globally Black says either once in the morning during the task and in the evening for them to guide you in the spirit realm. Okay, so how and when globally Black is answering that question once in the morning and in the evening. You talk to the ancestors. Okay, that's pretty cool. All right, yeah, let's go. So here we go. Let me see. I'm going too fast. So her adoption was recorded stela of full cosmic oaths, divine lineages, and spiritual protocols. Okay, she presided over the recognition of Theban temples during, not recognition, reorganization of Theban temples during the cultural revival. Right, administered temple estates, oversaw priestly education, and performed and advanced Heka rituals, marking the sacralization of Waset. After Assyrian invasion, they had basically, in so many words, they had to purify the temples because these foreigners was all in this space messing up their sacred order. They had to reset the temples. Okay, so Nitocris was the ancestral flame of Amanishakheto, that she had to reset this thing. Okay, this is during the late period. This towards the end of the Empire of Kemet. Her rule demonstrated spiritual inheritance was transmitted not just by blood or inheritance, but through sacred vows and devotion. Her career redefined dynastic authority as a matter of divine merit rather than, say, genealogy. Okay, when the Assyrians and the foreigners invaded, they didn't just invade the towns; they invaded the temples and sacred places. And the priests, they had to find out ways to reset this and to make them whole again, to make their space sacred again. And so she governed Waset autonomously for decades, showing that female spiritual power was not confined to the past, or the spiritual power wasn't just confined to, say, the queens, but to priestesses also. So these women were ritual architects. Okay, Marit, Anai, Karamama, Merimut, Amanishakheto the first, and Nitocris the first. They were spiritual architects, okay, builders of the divine space, interpreters of time, the guardians of the Nile Valley, okay, through song, through their legacy. It was a whisper through the past. It was a vibration that still lives, right? And so I got a question. Out of all of these, who do you resonate with the most? Who do you resonate with the most? Marit, Anai, Karamama Merimut, Amanishakheto the first, or Nitocris? Yeah. So we got to do it again in the future. We got to purify and rebuild. It starts with everybody. Okay, that's why we're all here. Okay, wherever your space is, okay, make that your special space. See what I'm saying? I'm not, I know a Grandmaster Tarot and many others are into the spiritual aspects of things. I'm just a history teacher. So, yeah, you gotta purify and rebuild, be it at home, okay, on your job or whatever, right? Got to do that. Now, divine feminine forces, all right, in reclaiming in this process, here we're going to deal with the Neteru beyond myth, those who govern cosmic architecture, resurrection, and fate. This is a realm of Aset, the seven Heteru, the headed divinities, and the celestial code. The ancients didn't separate the God from woman; they saw them as one and the same. You hear what I said? The ancients didn't separate the Neteru, the gods, from a woman. They were one and the same. They saw the divine feminine as the source, the gate, and the guardian. In Ethiopia, Kush, and Kemet, her power was not a metaphor. It was a reality. It was an infrastructure from the womb all the way up, right? So here we go. We have Aset, okay? The divine architect of resurrection known across Kemet and Nubia. Aset is the mistress of magic, the goddess of the 10,000 names, and the throne giver. There's several images of her throne crown, the Ast, okay, and symbolizes that the king had to go through the mother, and especially had to go through her. Okay, wings shows wings of protection and the Ankh of life. So her role, she reassembled the scattered body of Osiris. We discussed that, and resurrected him through the sacred breath and sexual alchemy, conceiving Heru as a solar sun heir, as her son. Isis is the template for all priestesses. She channels the Heka, governs ritual, rebirth, and opens the solar path. Her her rites include chants to awaken the ancestors, the moon offerings, and the activation of the divine spark in the womb. Okay, that's Aset. All right. Now, the 7 Heteru, the oracles of destiny and soul contract. We had a discussion dealing with the war of the Neteru, the war of the gods, Sobekneferu and the war of the gods about a month ago. And I found out it wasn't just one Heteru, it was 7. And we also found out that Sekhmet was a wrathful version of Heteru. I didn't know that. Okay, but let's go. So the 7 Heteru, the celestial judges of destiny and spiritual kingship. Now, in Kemet, oldest cosmologies and temple inscriptions, the 7 Heteru are both goddesses and stellar intelligences known to declare fate, preserve memory, and judge the soul's path. They were often invoked during birth, death, and royal ascension rituals. The 7 Heteru represents 7 stars. Really, in real life, there's 7 star constellations, right? And so the 7 Heteru, we have them in this order: Hathor of Thebes, the keeper of the destiny at birth; Hathor Heliopolis, the guardian of the soul's contract. According to African tradition, according to ancient custom, before the child is born here, they have a contract with the ancestors. Okay, and Heteru of Aphroditiopolis, she who oversees the twin flame, the Ka. Okay. And Hathor Sinai, the gatekeeper of reincarnation. The Hathor of Memphis or Mennefer, the mistress of sacred speech and naming. Okay. Hathor Heracleopolis, she remembers the ancestors. It's very important. We've been alluding to that discussion today. It's important that we remember our ancestors, the most powerful kings and Isubiti of Egypt. They were known to venerate and respect their ancestors. See what I'm saying? Hathor of the West or Amentet, okay, the Lady of Divine Timing and Maat. Okay, that's 7. So if you want to know more about that, okay, like and subscribe. Okay, let's get it. All right, now this man, this has been something. The lioness goddess Sekhmet, Tefnut, Mahit, and Apidamax consort. Okay, now we've been tap dancing on that also. Every civilization has its lionesses, but in Africa, she ruled in temples, thrones, and in war all at the same time. We have Sekhmet, the solar eye Ra, the goddess of divine rage and healing. Not just wrath, just to be mad. Okay, Sekhmet, there was a reason why she was angry according to the story. Tefnut, which represented moisture, cosmic balance, twin sister of Shu, linked with celestial duality. Now, we talked about the Ennead. Each Ennead represented a chemical in the atmosphere. You see what I'm saying? And Menhit in Nubia, lioness, war deity, protector of kings. The consorts of Apidamac and Naka, likely lioness, priestesses, or goddesses of the Nubian inner sun cult. Now, I think Mo made a humble request that I have a discussion about the Sphinx, the Heru and Maked. Since we own this, the Heru and Maked, the Apidamac and Sekhmet. He want to know what's the connection between the Sphinx, Apidamac, and Sekhmet. Y'all let me know. Y'all let me know if we want to engage in that discussion. We won't be able to do it today because I have something else. We have a bonus. The people voted. But if you want me to discuss the connection between the Sphinx, the Apidamac, and Sekhmet, type in line and we'll roll. We'll do that. Shoot. All right. So some of the symbolism from the Kemetic and Kushite science, lionesses guard the solar gates. They destroy illusion. They destroy falsehood. They're connected to the third eye for those who into that, the pineal gland, the solar plexus, and ancestral vengeance. Like that situation where that plantation got burned. And matter of fact, and recently, it's a lake. There's a lake. I don't know the name. They're one of the in America. In America, they have the after the Civil War during the Reconstruction era. They a lot of the Wazungus were known for flooding black neighborhoods, right, or just building on top of them, right. And Lake Lanier, a boat last weekend was set on fire. And Lake Lanier, there's a black neighborhood, a black community at the bottom of Lake Lanier. So these ancestors, in so many ways, are entering the chat. All right. So they're destroying illusion, they're destroying falsehood. Okay. And so in lunar rites and solar rites, they balance fire with water. Sekhmet becomes Heteru after the appeasement of the red beard, symbolizing the blood of the people, right? And so the Lion Temple of Naka, Sekhmet, statues in Cairo Museum all represent these things. And the people are mentioning or saying lion. So yeah, we're gonna have to do that. We're gonna have to make this connection between Sekhmet, the Sphinx, and Epitomac. Yes, Lake Lanier. I'm working on it. So we will do that. We will get into it. All right. And so we have divine gates. The feminine body, the female body, is a temple code. The cycles align with Sirius, Venus, and the Nile. So the womb, according to the Nile Valley custom, according to Nile Valley tradition, considered as a portal of return and rebirth, right? The sacred Hekra, the sacred Hekra used infertility, healing, and lunar rituals. The temple initiates fasted with the moon, meditated with Heteru's mirror, and receive visions and in underground chambers. We talked about the sacred chambers under the Sphinx and the pyramids about a couple months ago. Rebirth rituals involve placing sacred symbols like the Ankh or the Jed near the womb or the mouth. And so we have the sacred feminine science. We have the womb as a gate. It was an actual factual. It wasn't metaphor. It was ritual architecture encoded into the temple design. The inner sanctum of temples was called the Pernasir, the house of the flame. Okay. And they matched the sacred uterus in symbolic layout. So, of course, if you're familiar with the Ankh symbol, it is representation of both male and female parts put together. Okay. So now, when we consider the role of women, our sisters, our queens, our queen mothers, our priestesses, and divine mothers, they all play a vital role in our upbringing, right? That when humanity, when the Western world try to erase them, they come back. Okay, and they come back with full force, right? So what we're trying to do on this podcast, what we're trying to do is restore that name by name, person by person, okay, from the Nile valleys all the way up to the stars, right? We're going to esteem our sisters, our feminine forces. It's not just returning, but our sisters, our divine mothers are already here, right? So, all right. So let me see. Before we get to the Q&A, I gotta check roll, but this is our new series, Ethiopia, Kemet, and Kush, a unified sacred arc. Okay. Yeah, this is our new series for the summer. Ethiopia, Kemet, and Kush, a unified sacred arc. We started with connecting the dots a few weeks ago, and we're just going through major themes and major ideas in Ethiopia. And also Echoes of Nubia. I have a small mini series going on Thursdays. It's pre-recorded. Of course, our lives are still on Sundays, but we have pre-recordings of Echoes of Nubia, and it is happening on Thursday. So we just did we did the 3 crowns last Thursday. It was pretty interesting. Okay, we're going to continue with that. We're going to do that. So what's coming up? Yep, I told y'all asked for it. The Kings of Napata and the Magi, a rise of Kushite power. Yeah, we're gonna do that. That's coming out next Thursday. So we're gonna deal with Alara, King Alara Costa, and Pai, founders of the Southern Crown. Okay, we're gonna talk about them and the military stronghold called the Magi. Now, I thought the Magi was just say the 3 wise men that was looking for the star in the east. The Magi was actually a military power in Sudan. And so they were known as desert nomads, pastoralists, and herders, and they descended from the C group culture in Lower Nubia. They were the strong arm of the Nile Valley. As a matter of fact, they were so strong, from what I'm told, Egypt hired them to go into battle also. That's how strong they were. And then the people of Rome and them, they didn't want to see them because they couldn't see them because their eyes came up missing. Tasseti was the land of the bow, and it wasn't just their name only. So yeah, that's gonna come out next Thursday. That's gonna come out next Thursday. So there was a question. Library Without Borders made a humble request: is there a cultural connection between Congo and Kemet or the Nile Valley? The short answer is yes, and we're gonna get into that. Yes, sir. Yeah, we're gonna get into that. Mysteries of African Cosmology in a few weeks on, say, July 21st. Next Sunday, we're not going to have a live because I'll be going out of town. But Mysteries of African Cosmology, we're going to address that. And see, that's why I encourage you guys to ask questions. Sometimes I may forget, so type it in, and and I'll get to them. African Royalty asks, what are the books for these series? I got the books. I got. Hold on. Yeah. We're gonna get into that. Yeah. So that is Mysteries of African Cosmology, July 21st. That is going to be a Monday night, not a Sunday night. Okay. Yeah. We're gonna deal with that July 21st, because on the ancient mother crocodiles, regicide rituals, and revenge, we had this nice little illustration right here. This is a Kemetic illustration here. It deals with the movement of the sun, right? It deals with the movement where the Kephara at dawn, Ra in the midday, and then Ra Atum at sunset. Birth, life, death, and then the midnight sun. We discussed the midnight sun also. Okay, dealing with the Amduat in the Book of Gates. So, but you also see that very same idea in the Bakongo cosmogram. So somebody's telling you Kemet and Congo aren't really connected like that. They're not really informed. Okay, so this is the Bakongo cosmogram. There is a connection, and shout out to the fam. Kemetic ethics and many others, they broke this down really good. So this is what it looks like right next to each other. But we'll get into that in more detail. So we'll go into that at another time. So yeah, July 21st, we're gonna deal with some of the African customs. Not all of them. And do I claim to be expert in them? No, I don't. I know nothing about that. Okay, but I got to share what I see. Right? Let's go. Now, are there any books? Yes, there are. So here's a few. The Wonderful Ethiopians of the Ancient Kushite Empire. You got to get that. If you're serious about that, the affiliate links are in the description. But if you're serious about this little book here, kicked off this whole thing. Like last summer when we did a book study on this that ran into the fall, we talked about ancient Kush, prehistoric Egypt, the land of wonders. Okay, a priesthood seemed to have governed the land. The head of the state was a priest. The sacred books the sacred books of the Hindus speak of an old race that came down from Upper Egypt. Yeah. And shout out to Jay Williamson. He asked about Sumer, or ancient Mesopotamia, and their connection to Kush. We may have to spin a block on that. We may have to do that. Check that book out, Kemet and Nagas, The Glory of Kings. We're going to lean into that also as we go along. And of course, the book of Coming Forward by Day, The Ethiopian Origin of Civilization by John G. Jackson. Now, the main book that we'll be coming out of in our summer series dealing with Ethiopia, the Sacred Ark, is this book here. The Ethiopians: A History. Okay, the link is in the description. It's a good book. And I will be highlighting some things out of almost each chapter as we go along. I don't want to insult your intelligence by reading it word for word like that, but I think it is necessary for us as a people to have some kind of scholarly anchor, and we use. I just don't want to just talk off the top of my head, right? I want to have a book, okay, to encourage other people to read also. Okay, so when people like to disagree, and when people like to be upset about things, and I ask them what book they get it from, and they can't tell me, well, we're done talking. We're done having this conversation. The conversation is over, right? So yeah, the affiliate links are in the description, so check them out. Okay, as an Amazon affiliate, I earn from qualifying purchases at no additional cost to you. But yeah, we are going to deal with that in a few weeks. So yeah, it says great deal, Library Without Borders, because we don't hear enough about Congo and its relationship with the surrounding ancient countries. We don't hear about that. And Globally Black responded saying, I think it's by design, just like they attempted to hide Sudan's ancient history in favor of Egypt. And not to mention that, hold on, I gotta get my paper. Not to mention that parts of Congo is like the eastern part of Congo is close to the White Nile River, or I want to say the African term for the smoke that thunders, Lake Victoria. But yeah, they're all connected. They're all connected. Yeah. Thank you so much. Looking forward to watching your other videos. Good night, family. All right. Good night. We're not done. We're going to get this bonus. So we're just going to get ready for that bonus a little bit later. All right. So when you wake up, the bonus will be there. Let's go. All right. I'm checking roll though. Oh, before I check roll, I got my book. My book is The Crusades and Jihad in East Africa. The book is available. Religious conflicts and their impact. We talked about medieval Africa. When we talk about medieval Africa, we normally talk about Timbuktu, or whenever we talked about the Middle Ages, we always deal with Europe and the Crusades, right? But what was Nubia and Ethiopia doing? Okay, so that's my new book. Now, here we go. Roll call. I'm finna check roll real quick, because Brother Moore, I know he been saying here the whole time. All right, so One Voice Africa. Shout out to One Voice Africa, Karok TV, G-Man 77, Serge Balaga, Soul Zenith, Shireen Robinson, Fred Bantu 3694, Afria Spore Films, Blu-ray Star Child 74, Life with Melody, Melvin Reed, Jay Willison, Harry Parker, Library Without Borders, Miss Blue, Indigo Prince, J in all, the C6, Who Daddy 7, Abina Scott, New Black on Black, shout out to him, Deborah Keaton, Valerie J, Kemetic Nation, and Mia Gia Meyer, Gaharley Artistry. If you are present and I didn't call your name, like and comment here. See, Brother Moore, he stayed to the end. All right. Yeah. The pyramids as well as Sudan. Yeah. All right. Now, if you like the content, of course, share it with somebody that may enjoy it. Don't just give it to anybody. Share it with somebody that may enjoy it, and share it on Facebook or your social media of choice. Now, we just got to talk about the role of women, the priestess and divine mothers, but let's get to this bonus real quick. Here we go. Bonus. Y'all asked for it. Y'all know I had it already, though. Here we go. Now, this is just a little snippet. This ain't everything. Okay. This is just a snippet of Neith, the primordial Egyptian goddess in her cult in Egypt. Neith is a primordial Neteru. She, according to ancient tradition, she gave birth to Ra. Okay. So among the pantheon of ancient Egyptian Neteru, few figures are as important, influential as Neith, the goddess of war, creation, wisdom, and weaving. Venerated for over 3 millennia, over 3,000 years. I would say more than that. Neith is both the guardian of the earliest mythological tradition and a symbol of state power, technology, and cosmic order. She occupies a unique space in the spiritual matrix of ancient Egypt. She's a goddess who defied easy categorization, bridging the worlds of the living and the dead. Right. So the battlefield. She was also on the battlefield, and she connected the people with the ancient Neteru. Right. So we're not going to get to the question, but we won't be able to answer all of them. But Kemet have been the original creator deity of ancient Egypt, predating even Ra and Atum. I think so. So, really quick, we're going to talk about the mythological background of Neith, historical development of Neith's worship. Okay, this is, like I said, this is a preview. Okay, we're going to get into further detail in the coming weeks or about another month or so, but here's a little taste of it. So, the mythological background of Neith. Okay, she was, as a goddess, Neith encapsulate a complex duality. She was creator and destroyer, mother and warrior, mystic and monarch. I believe, in my opinion, all our sisters embody these principles. I think all of our sisters embody these principles. So, yeah, but you had to be both. You had to be creator and destroyer. You got to build and destroy, right? Her name is often interpreted as meaning the terrifying one or she who is. She said, I'm her. And now I'm here. She said, I'm her, right? She speaks to her primordial self-generated nature. She is one of the few deities who believe to have created herself, a rare distinction that sets her apart from many other Neteru who emerged from the cosmic waters of Nun, okay, or divine parents. Now, in mythological terms, Neith is the divine weaver. She's the divine weaver of the universe. She is said to have weaved the fabric of reality on a cosmic loom. So when you see the stories of like timelines and you see like the movie Loki and the different timelines and multiverses and stuff like that, come on now, they had to get it from somewhere. She's a war deity wielding the bow and arrow, presiding over both protection and annihilation. She's a funerary Neteru goddess deeply involved in the rituals of death, mummification, and afterlife. Okay, and so in some traditions, she is credited with creating the world and the Neteru themselves. Okay, striking mythological passages preserved in later texts, Neith is invoked as the one who gave birth to Ra without having a consort. Okay, echoing themes of virgin birth and auto generation. Okay, found in other great mother goddesses across ancient religions. In tomb inscriptions, and temple art, she is often depicted wearing the red-crowned Gesseret of Lower Egypt, sometimes with her characteristic cross, arrows, and shield on her head, or the weaving shuttle symbolizing creation and fate. These emblems not only reinforce her role as a martial deity, but also tie her to the technological and domestic arts, the goddess who brings both war and civilization at the same time. And by the way, if you're enjoying this content, subscribe so you don't miss anything, because we finna go a little bit further. Now, historical development of Neith's worship, really quick. Archaeological remains found in the 5th millennium, 5,000 before Comet, 5,000 BC. Okay, including pottery and small shrine-like artifacts from the Western Delta, suggest that Neith was already worshipped by the people. Her emblem, a shield crossed by 2 arrows, appears on ceremonial plates and pottery, signifying her importance among emerging warrior elites. The earliest attested evidence of Neith's worship comes from the pre-dynastic Lower Egypt, especially in the region of the Nile Delta. By the time of the first dynasty, her followers was already state recognized. So by the time Kemet was a nation or an empire, she was already being worshipped. Her shrine in Sais was among the most influential centers in early Egypt. We'll get into the temple of Sais in a few minutes, but I don't think we're going to have time to break that temple down because, the time is far spent, right? So by the first dynasty, Neith was recognized at the state level. She is named in early inscriptions and appears among the deities invoked in royal titulary. So King Aha and the early royal cult of Net. King Aha, traditionally recognized as the second pharaoh of the first dynasty, 3100 before Common Era, played a pivotal role in the formal establishment of Net's cult within the early framework of the Egyptian state. His name, sometimes rendered as Menen's Aha, in early sources is closely associated with the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt, following the legendary figure Narmer, who was often credited as initiating that unification. So he followed Narmer. Okay, so let me say this: according to other scholars, his name is not Menen's Aha, but Hor Aha or Heru Aha. Remember, Heru was one of those primary figures of Neteru in pre-dynastic Egypt. So Heru is already named here. Okay, so Aha put that title Heru Aha on there. Okay, and you can see this other image here. Okay, this is a lighter version of that, and you see the other little palace facade and the boat and Heru right there, and the sun right there. Okay, let me see the people's talking. Okay, say to me, Net, she seems like she's one of the major stars who started up her part in the ancient world. A lot of the kings and queens aligned themselves with the stars, but she could have been the first. Yeah, I like to think so. I like to think so. So, Aha's reign marks one of the earliest examples of how political centralization of Egypt was mirrored by religious unification and state development. Now, Aha's foundation a temple at Sais. It is true that Narmer united the two lands, but it was his son Aha that established the ancient temple of Sais. Okay, one of King Aha's most enduring legacies is the founding of a temple to the goddess Net at Sais in the western Nile Delta. This is significant because it reflects the early royal effort to legitimize control over Lower Egypt by integrating local deities into the state pantheon. It elevates Net from a regional protector deity to the Delta to a national religious figure with royal patronage. Right now, like I said, she is called the Divine Weaver, the war deity, funerary goddess. Right. So I found out something. We learned that Net was not one of the royal dynastic royals, but a few. So her name was mentioned quite a few times. Like someone mentioned earlier, how they put their name like Amani in the title. Her name or title was given to a pre-dynastic queen. And so in reading this book, okay, the first female pharaoh, Sobekneferu, I find out that the name Net was used to name a real queen, Net Hotep, and she married Aha. Aha. So we'll get to him in a second, but not. I don't think we're going to have the time to do it today. But so who is this? This is the symbol here. This is the shield with the arrow right there. That her name means Merit Net. Merit Net. Her name means beloved. Merit, beloved of Net. She was married to. Here's another one. She's married to Jet. So we have one person, Net Hotep, married to Aha. Then later on, you have somebody else in the first dynasty, Merit's Net. Okay, she was married to Jet, a king of the first dynasty. The reason why she's important is because she became king when the king died. She took over his place. She took over as ruler of Egypt. This is Abydos. Okay, this is Abydos. And the reason why I'm showing you this, okay, is because I can't, it's not on here, but if you're familiar with the game Assassin's Creed, okay, Assassin's Creed Origin, there is I can't show the image, but it's called the Gesseret Desert. It's a site where Set Anat's tomb is, according to the game. And it looks like this. It looks like Abydos. Okay. For those who are into Assassin's Creed Origin, it's at the very southernmost part of the map. Pretty interesting story. It's a lot of fun. Okay. Now, so she's not. So Metic Net is not Sobekneferu or king mistaken to be Net, but queen rulers who took on that name and title. Okay, so there's just a little preview for the primordial Egyptian goddess uh Net. Okay, so that is the little preview that we got. Now, let me see what the family's saying. Before we start breaking camp, are there any questions? Okay, says to me, she seems like she's one of the major stars. Yeah, different vibrations for different dimensions. Yes. Okay, so all right. So before we go, are there any questions or concerns? Don't forget, we are in a new series, Ethiopian Kemet and Kush, Unified Sacred Arc. If you are interested, I do have the playlist. The playlist for Ethiopia. The playlist is, let me see, the name of the playlist. I have that up here on the screen. Ethiopia, the source and the sanctuary. And if you want to catch up on the three crowns, the three crowns, I had that video also. Before I turn you loose, are there any questions? Don't forget Echoes of Nubia. The new video pre-recorded is going to come out. The Kings of Napata and the Magi, that's going to come out on Thursday. And Mysteries of African Cosmology, that's going to be on July 21st. So before I turn you loose, are there any questions or concerns? Are there any questions? Okay. And for those, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. Thank all you guys for coming and coming through. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for my new people. Thank you, veterans and alumni, for coming through. And yeah, we are learning. We are moving forward with the information, with the content. Don't forget to get this book. And I'm thinking about doing some other things. We are going to go into further detail with Ethiopia, but there are some other kingdoms in Kush that need my attention also. But before we go, do you have any questions or concerns before we go? I hope I was able to answer all your questions? Okay. Once again, thank you, Globally Black, for coming. Thank you, Mo, for being here. Brother Moore. Thank you, Isu, for coming. Library Without Borders. Thank you, African Royalty. Brother Ferguson, thank you for coming. Grand Madam Tarot, Ms. Blue, thank you for being here. Ms. Haynes, thank you for being here. Sister Linda, thank you very much for being here. Thank you, fam, for being there and for rolling with it. This is about to be 5 years. This podcast has been in existence for 5 years, and it's been great. Like I said, Theo B, I'm gonna try to get Theo B out here before my birthday, so this is gonna be good. But yeah, I try not to go into the esoteric too much, but or the symbolism too much, because some people get all kind of salty and all uptight about it. So I try to deal with history and then deal with symbolism. Okay. But I know in August I will kind of get into that. I will get into more into the Kemetic science and Kushite science, symbolisms and everything. So for those who are interested in that, you gotta get this book. That is called The Sacred Science. That is good. And Stolen Legacy is another good book. Okay. But yeah, so we're like I said, you listen to King Cam Ujumbe Podcast. Ujumbe means message, and we talked about the role of women, queens, priestesses, and divine mothers. Like I said, if you're interested in listen to the playlist of Ethiopia, the Source of Sanctuary, I got that. And for the video, if you missed the three crowns, Ethiopia, Kemet, and Kush, I got that for you too. All right. This is King Cam Ujumbe Podcast. Ujumbe means message, and I will talk to you later.